Hello, filmmaker. Welcome back. I'm Monica Bryant, and this channel is a living document of my journey as a filmmaker. This video contains spoilers for A Quiet Place Part 2. So if you haven't seen it yet and do not want to be spoiled, check out this video instead. I would first like to start by saying that I am a cis black woman and my life experiences differ from that of a black man. I am often forced to separate my blackness from my womanhood, though I am both simultaneously. However, for the purpose of this video, I'm explicitly stating that I don't know what it's like to be a black man, but the experience of being a black person has a lot of crossover. More specifically, when it comes to a black character dying first in a horror movie that has a white majority cast. If you're a fan of the horror genre, you've probably come across the phenomenon of black people dying first in horror movies. My earliest experience with this was watching Jurassic Park for the first time. The movie came out when I had just turned 10, and it would become my favorite movie of all time. When my parents brought home a copy of the film on VHS, I watched it every single day. As much as I love the film, and as many times as I've seen it, I can't help but be bothered by one thing. A black man is the first to die. This man, only referred to as Gatekeeper, played by the late great stuntman Joffrey Brown, was on screen for only a few fleeting moments before he meets his demise and is eaten by a raptor. But we'll come back to Jurassic Park in just a moment. Let's talk about A Quiet Place Part 2. A Quiet Place Part 2 opens at a kid's baseball game in a small town. We're reintroduced to our main characters, Marcus, Evelyn, Reagan, and Lee, who isn't dead yet because this opening scene is a prequel. We also meet a new character named Emmett, played by Cillian Murphy. The fact that Cillian's character is a white dude that Krasinski bothered to name alerted me to the fact that we're definitely going to see this dude later in the film. Then it happens. The aliens show up and ruin everyone's day. The family is forced to split up, and Lee meets with a black police officer played by Okiriete Onaudawan, Hercules Mulligan from Hamilton, but we'll just call him Oak for short. The two characters engage in dialogue about the current situation, but they do it in such a way that suggests they might know each other or even be friends. But somehow I knew without knowing that this particular character was doomed. The first black actor to speak playing a caring cop, he's super dead. And wouldn't you know it, a few moments later, he meets his end while protecting Lee and his daughter. After that scene, I rolled my eyes and let out a deep sigh because I've seen this before, too many times in fact. It's a tired trope that, just like the characters it affects, needs to die. But whatever, I was on a date, enjoying a movie theater visit in a pandemic, and I was determined not to let this incident ruin my experience. Until it happened a second time. Emmett, played by Cillian Murphy, showed up later in the film just as I knew he would. Evelyn's deaf daughter Reagan is determined to travel to a radio station where she can use a frequency from her hearing aid to make the aliens vulnerable enough to put them to rest for good. Emmett gets manipulated into helping her, and after fighting off a rabid gang of cannibals, the two sail to a peaceful island where we meet our second black character, Man on Island, played by Djimon Hounsou. Djimon Hounsou is an Academy Award nominee who's been in many big films such as In America, Blood Diamond, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Shazam, just to name a few. When I saw him, I thought, okay, cool, this guy is going to be a major player. Djimon tells Emmett the story of how they were dropped off at the island a while back, and they figured they'd be safe since the aliens can't swim. Unfortunately, Emmett and Reagan's encounter with the boat-dwelling cannibal tribe from the previous scene left an alien conveniently safe on a boat that followed them to the island. When Emmett realizes the alien has washed ashore, he runs through the village, warning everyone. Deep inside, I felt like Jaimin might be in trouble, but I held out. Surely they wouldn't kill a second black man in this movie. I was naive. Not only does Jaimin's character die, he dies in one of the most over-the-top, borderline comedic ways that we've ever seen in the franchise so far. Think Samuel L. Jackson in Deep Blue Sea when he's giving his impassioned speech and the camera is strangely zooming in, then mid-sentence a wild shark appears and gobbles him whole. Yeah. Jaimin Hansu is panicked and hyper-aware, then he's suddenly snatched beneath a half-open garage door by the alien. My spirits dropped for the second time during this film. Are we really doing this in 2021? Back to Jurassic. In Jurassic Park, the gatekeeper's death is not in vain. His death sets off the events for the entire film. He is a black person whose life mattered. But why did Oak and Jaimin die in A Quiet Place Part 2? I took to the internet to do some digging, and I found a Screen Rant article penned by QV Huff, in which he states that Hansu's lack of screen time in A Quiet Place Part 2 subverts expectations. But how? The second black man with a speaking role died in a horror movie with a majority white cast? That doesn't subvert anything. It plays neatly into the trope of black men dying in horror films. Subverting the trope would be like what Jordan Peele does at the end of Get Out. Daniel Kaluuya lays on the ground as a squad car pulls up, white people are dead, and a black suspect is ripe for the killing. And who gets out of the car? His best friend and TSA agent Rod Williams. There isn't a single black person who saw Get Out that didn't have that moment of panic thinking Daniel was about to be shot to death by a white cop. That is how you subvert a trope. The article goes on to say that Jaimin Hansu is expected to appear in the third installment of the film franchise as a lead protagonist or villain. But then his death would still play into another trope. The rule is that if a character is killed off screen, they aren't actually dead. We've seen this time and time again in films and TV shows, and audiences are tired of it. Did anyone actually think Hopper was dead at the end of Stranger Things Season 3? No, because we aren't stupid. However, there are exceptions to this rule. Samuel L. Jackson ends up dying in Jurassic Park, but his death occurs off screen. We only find out he's dead because Ellie, played by Laura Dern, finds his arm. And when I was a kid, this scene was confusing because I thought the severed arm belonged to the black gatekeeper who died at the beginning of the film. I mean, I was 10 years old. Give me a break. Am I saying black people should never die in horror films? No. But I am saying that if your horror film has only 2 black characters who speak and they both die, it looks weird. Lots of people die in this movie, but almost everyone in the film is white, so statistically, it balances out. Krasinski's choices to kill off the only 2 black characters who speak in the film lead me to wonder if white filmmakers have some sort of implicit bias. Did he have other black people working on set that could have questioned his choices? Do white filmmakers live in a reality where they never have to think about their skin tone or what their death could mean to certain audience members? Could Cillian Murphy have been cast as Man on Island or police officer while Oak or Jaimin played Emmett? These questions might never get answered, and I'll remain curious until they do.
It's not it, man. It's just the black guy always dies. Think about it, man. Unforgiven, Alien, Rocky IV, The Shining. And what about that brother in Jurassic Park, man?
Well, that was cool. There was 2 black guys who died in that one. That was a twofer. You must be really pissed off at that one.
It would be unfair for me not to mention horror movies where black people live to see the end. So here's a couple of exceptions. The People Under the Stairs, Anaconda, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, LL Cool J's character in Deep Blue Sea, House on Haunted Hill, 13 Ghosts, Halloween Resurrection, Gothica, Saw 6, Get Out, and Us. All feature black characters that live to see the end of the film, but these are exceptions, not the rule. I want to enjoy horror without always being reminded of my race or gender. I just want to witness a good story. Unfortunately, this is the society that we live in, and it has become quite clear that if you look at movies and TV shows being created today, those creators are pulling from their limited perspectives where they aren't forced to think deeply about gender or race. As for being a woman, I'd like to point out that the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park only kill men. Anyway, that's all I have on the topic. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and we can have a discussion. Until next Sunday, thanks for watching. Bye!